Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. So today we've got the Colorado in here and we're going to do some more mods to it. If you guys haven't heard, we're getting ready to take this thing on a crazy road trip. If you heard my last video, we're actually going to go to Colorado in the Colorado. So it's going to be an insane trip. And just for that, I've got some mods that I have definitely got to take care of before I go out there. So as you guys can tell, I have peeled the wheels. They were, like plasti dip black. As you guys know, we can't stay stock long, so I have some wheels coming. Didn't want to really spoil it or anything, but I'm kind of spoiling it. So there is some wheels coming. They're different than what you see on a lot of Colorados, and that's kind of what I've done. I've done my research and I found a wheel that's just totally unique. So I'm super excited to share the new wheels with you guys, as well as the offset specs on them, because I found a wheel that you won't have to do a lot of trimming. And as you guys know, on the old truck, I had to trim a lot. And on this one, it's almost no trimming. So I really, really wanted to keep this truck's body straight and not have to cut it to pieces. So anyways, let's go ahead and dig into it. I'm going to show you guys the first few mods that we're going to do for Colorado to get this thing prepped and ready to go 26 hours away. So this truck is going to go to Telluride. We're going to be camping the whole way out there, mountain biking. I'm going to share the whole experience with you guys, so it is going to be insane. So anyways, the first thing on the ZR2s, as you guys know, the shocks do hang pretty low. So I picked up a set of these shock skids, and these are pretty neat. I actually ended up getting these from 589 Fabrication, and I just threw some flat black paint on them for now, just to see how they're going to do. So another thing I wanted to do was just kind of talk through some of the mods that we've already done. If this is your first time watching the video on the Colorado, I'd suggest going back and check it out when we had it stock and did the lift and the tires and all that good stuff. It'll give you a good little backstory on where we started at with this thing, because she was totally stock. Of course, it doesn't really look like it's done up now, but these trucks stock are pretty awesome. So anyways, a few things that we ended up doing. I did end up putting this bug guard on the front. You can see it's doing its job real well. We've had trouble with rocks and stuff in the past on old rigs, and they beat the hood to death. So I was like, you know what? Let's protect that hood a little bit better. And I think it also actually gives a little bit of style and upgrade. So I definitely like this. This is the Aero Skin from AVS. They're about 80 bucks on Amazon. Totally worth it. They're molded to your hood. And look at that fitment. I mean, that's spot on, guys. So if you're looking to protect the hood of your truck, give you a different look, I definitely recommend checking out AVS Aero Skin. You can find them on a website or Amazon. And then we also went with the upgraded bow tie, because the stock one just didn't really do it for me. You can get these on eBay. Not too bad, about 35 bucks shipped. So the other thing we did was the level kit. As you guys can tell, it's about 1.25 inches level, and that just kind of exactly what it sounds like. Just gives you a nice level stance and complements the truck nice. Allows you to clear a 33. Now the tires I'm running, these are 285 75 or 285 70 17s is what I'm running on here, and there is no rubbing issues at all because we did a little bit of trimming. This is all it's required to run stock wheels on 33s with a level. You need to trim that little section back. And then I just kind of trimmed that back, as you can see, just a little bit. Nothing major. No rubbing, no problems. It's perfect. So there's a quick rundown. If you want to level your truck and you want to run 33s, it's all you got to do. Now the other thing I had to keep in mind when I ordered the next set of wheels is I didn't want to go crazy with the offset, because offset's what get you in a lot of trouble. Now the wheels I got, they are going to be a 20 millimeter offset versus these are at 31. Keeping that in mind, the only thing that you really have to do is, you're going to dish this wheel out another 1/2 inch. I may have to trim just a little bit more out of this and maybe bend this plastic kind of back out of the way. We may have to bend some of that out and maybe mold this inner fender liner. I think I may have to push it back a little. But that may be the only things I have to do. And that's honestly if I wheel the truck super hard. So there's just a quick Colorado update. Alright guys, so a couple other things I forgot to mention while I was going over a few of the mods is this truck was also got it tuned. Ended up going with the trifecta tune. And you guys haven't seen the exhaust on the truck yet, so I thought now was a good time to show it. This is the MagnaFlow exhaust. I can't really remember the part number on it. This is basically it's a catback MagnaFlow system. and it worked out pretty good on the truck, I gotta say. It bolts up kind of like to your factory cat, which I may omit later on. And yeah, it's pretty smooth. It's tucked in real nice. I haven't really had any trouble out of it, but I just thought I'd share that real quick. And if you've never seen underneath the ZR2, you know, you got some pretty good skid protection at the front. The spool valve shocks are just so awesome. Totally just the best shocks that GM's probably ever used on these trucks. So back over here at the shock skids, as you can see, this is where you get into trouble, and you can already see I actually bumped mine already. I didn't even realize it. You can see I've been wheeling the truck just a little bit. I didn't film any of it because we were just kind of getting some feelers out there just to see how it does. But basically the skid is going to bolt right here, and it's just going to protect the lower half of the shock from getting completely mangled. You can see it's already touched a rock just a little bit. And this side's fine. I don't see any evidence of it touching any rocks, but you definitely want to inspect these things and keep an eye on them because they're kind of prone to having some trouble every now and then. I have heard some people saying that the cylinders will start to leak in there, and it's pretty obvious when they start to leak. So luckily I think I'm good right now. Hopefully it'll stay that way for my big trip to Colorado. But all right guys, we're gonna go ahead, take these bolts out and get ready to put the skids in. We'll see how they bolt up and how good they did with their fabrication. All right guys, so a quick rundown on what's going on. Basically you just pull this bolt out, and from what I can see they supply you with a new bolt and also a small bolt which appears to go on the back side here. So they also supply a bolt, and basically the idea of this thing is to do that right there. The bolt goes in the top, so it just kind of complements this shock and gives it a lot more skid protection. You can see the back side of it's going to be, the back side's going to be completely guarded now. So I did notice it's a little tight. You guys can kind of tell this is a little tight. Not really wanting to drive up on there. So 5/8/9, I think you need to open that up about maybe 10 to 15 thousandths aside, and it'd be perfect. So as you can see, I'm already starting to rub on the inside. So these things, you know, also is going to depend on GM's quality control on their bracket. So not entirely 5/8/9's fault. This could be a little bit thicker. I'm sure it's a cast part, so that probably varies a little. So I may take a small file to this and just kind of see if it's going to fit. Now, I really don't want to get a grinder out if I don't have to, but that's just first impressions. It looks like it's going to be a little tight, but the shock's pretty easy to compress. I can do it with one hand, so that's kind of nice, but it may be a bit of a challenge to start that and put this little cover on. So let's go ahead and we'll try to slide this thing on for you guys and give you a first look. Alright guys, so I got the shock skid on. It actually looked pretty good. It was a little tight going on, so I will say be prepared. You may need an attitude adjuster like I had here, and just kind of nice little taparoo, slid right into place. It was a little tight though, I will admit, but it worked pretty good. The only other thing I noticed is that the head of the bolt is a 19mm on the supplied bolt versus the 21 that you're going to take off. And the nice thing about this little kit is this is like a self-tapper starter screw. There we go, trying to get it to focus. There we go. There it is. That is a self-tapper starter screw. Works pretty good. One thing I will admit, best way to get this shock to kind of line up is to use you a nice little pry bar. Start it in one side and you can kind of lift up on it, and that'll allow you to start the bolt and then kind of persuade it into position. So it worked pretty good. Little pick, chisel, anything like that. Something small that you can get in there, a little punch, will help you put the shock back into this mount. And you might also have to use it to help you locate that hole. So other than that, pretty straightforward. Fitment is just a little tight, but 5/8/9, not bad guys, you did all right. All right guys, just real quick here, I wanted to show you this little difference on this side. You're gonna run into the park brake stuff, so you will be taking a 13mm to bust this loose. No big deal though, just pull it out of the way. Your attitude adjuster and your alignment bar goes right in. So now we're going to move on to the next part of this and start installing the awning, which shouldn't be too bad, but yeah, homemade mounts, and we'll just have to see how they work. So let's go ahead and get it to it. Alright guys, so I want to give you a quick rundown on how we're going to make this work and the little fabbed up brackets that I came up with. So I ended up taking some steel and putting it in a vise and bending it to a 90. This is about a 14-inch long piece of steel, if I recall. So basically what this is going to do is, get it angled here. We're going to put this down here on the bottom. We're going to run our bolt through at the top. We've got a bolt here. It's going to be captured by this top slot. You can see the hex head of the bolt is going to get captured in there. Now the only problem is that these slots are 400 thousandths wide, and the bolt heads I've got are 430. So we're going to take 15 aside with the old grinder over here, which is going to kind of suck, but I'm going to be able to use a nice set of calipers and get it down to 400 thousandths. We'll slide it in there. It'll stick out enough to where I can then bolt the rest of the brackets on. And then the awning will sit just kind of flush along the back side. And what that's going to do is that's going to give me kind of the shelter that I need at the rear of the truck, and also make it quick and easy to take off if for whatever reason I don't want to run it. Alright guys, I want to show you this before I get too far along. So this is kind of a homemade little rig here, but you can see works out pretty good. Shave the head of the bolts down to about 400 thousandths. Of course, if you had the right bolt, you could do this. I just don't have to have the right bolt. So before y'all start in the comments, we're just kind of test fitting this thing, and so far this is the best way. So yeah, sliding that through the bracket works like a charm. It'll hold itself from the top, and it'll keep that hex locked in there. Of course, if you buy the proper stuff with your T-slots in there from the tent, you can do this also. But you know, for what I've got laying around the house just to mock something up, you kind of see what it's going to look like. So you're going to have your awning just stretched across the back. So I'm going to go ahead now, slide this side in, bolt it down, go grab the awning, and we'll see how it fits. Alright guys, so it's the next day, and I wanted to kind of go over the setup with you and just show you what we're working with. So far everything turned out pretty good. I did add a couple changes to the awning, and I wanted to go over that real quick with you guys. But this is just kind of the look. Just set up here in the yard real quick. I had to do some extra drilling, so I wanted to set it up here. And looks like for my window, for now I'm going to be able to do this so I can use the window when the awning is out. And when the awning is actually rolled up, you can still use your normal pegs that on the Smittybilt you can see how they go in. So one thing I will caution you on, if you're going to do this, you definitely want to brace the back side of your tent. Because one thing that I noticed is there was a gap right here, and I just closed that gap up. So what I did, I drilled a 5/16 hole all the way through to the floor for this bolt. It's about a 5/16 bolt. Actually, I think I went up a drill size. So you may want to go one up on the drill size, but use you a 5/16 bolt. That'll secure that bolt all the way to the floor of the tent. So now this thing can't go anywhere. It's a lot more rigid. You can see here, I'm pulling on it. I mean, I really got to like tug on it hard to get it to even move a little bit. So I think I'm going to be able to leave this on full time and drive down the road 70, 80 miles an hour, and it shouldn't care because the awning is actually going to set lower than the tent when everything's folded up. So that should work pretty good. But I did want to give you guys a little bit of an update and just kind of let you know where things are at. And as you guys can tell, we're getting pretty close here. This thing is getting near completion. The wheels will be here next week, and we're also going to be installing that rough country light bar. Just show you guys real quick. Your light bar, if you do a rough country light bar, or any of them, with the stock bumper, it is going to install right here. Now, my stock bumper does have a few scuffs on it and stuff from previous owners, so at a later time I will be taking this off. We will be putting an off-road bumper on this truck, but for now I'm going to run it as is for a couple years. It's not really hurting anything, but it bothers me. I know there's some scratches there, but you know, you can't win them all when you buy a used truck. That's just something you gotta take the good with the bad there, boys. So there you have it. That's gonna finish up this episode. So if you haven't done it already, be sure and subscribe to the channel. Check out all the other videos on the Colorado, and stick around. Next time we're going to put that light bar in. I'm going to show you guys some cool little secrets on how to wire that up and make it look nice. So if you like what you see, comment, let me know what you think. And if you haven't done it already, subscribe and hit the bell while you're at it. You're going to get notifications every time I do an upload. So thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.